Everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back to the series of how to use programming in automation. So, as part of this series, today I'm going to show you how to use loops in automation. Okay, okay. So, the common types of loops in most programming languages are for loop, for off, for in, while loop, do while, and for each loop. Okay, okay. Now, let us go through each of them one by one. Okay. Okay, so before that, let me quickly explain what loops are and why we use them in automation. Okay, okay. So a loop is a way to tell the computer or script repeat this task again and again until I stop. Okay, so I will repeat this again. So it is a way to tell the computer or a script repeat this task again and again until I say stop. Okay, okay. So in any programming, loops helps us repeat the action without writing the same line of code multiple times. Okay, so it helps us to repeat the action without writing the same line of code multiple times. Okay, okay. So let me give you some example from automation perspective. Okay, so think you search for a product in any e-commerce application and you got number of product links. Okay, and you here your scenario is to get the names of all the product names. Okay, so what you'll do in this case is you will use a loop to go through all of them and extract the names one by one. Okay, and also think of there is a web page and it has 10 checkboxes. Okay, and you want to check each checkboxes one by one. So instead of clicking each checkbox manually one by one, we use a loop to go through all of them and check each checkboxes. Okay, okay. And also for drop down list we'll use for loop. So it will go through all the items in the drop down and select the drop down list or get the value we want. Okay, okay. So these three are just a example I've gave you where we can use for loop. There are many cases where we can use for loop, and once you start automating, you will understand or you will come to know. Okay, okay. So now let us see for loop. Okay, okay. So the syntax of for loop is for let I is equal to 0, I less than 5, you can give any value, I plus plus. Okay, and here we'll write the code we want to repeat 5 times. Okay, okay. So here, as you know, it has three parts. One is I is equal to 0 and it is called initialization, and I is I less than 5 is called, this is called condition, and I plus plus is called increment. We can do decrement also, I minus minus. Okay, so in our condition I will show you I plus plus. Okay, okay. So now let me connect this with automation scenario. Okay, so it makes more sense. Okay, so as I've given the checkbox example, so think in your application there are five checkboxes, 5 or 10 checkboxes you have, and you want to check each checkboxes one by one. Okay, okay. So when the I value is 1, it checks the first checkbox. Okay, and when the I value will become 1, sorry, here when the I value is 0, it checks the first checkbox. It checks the first checkbox, and when the I value will become 1, it checks the second checkbox. Okay, and when the I value will become 2, it checks the third checkbox. It checks the third checkbox, and it will go all the way up to 4. Okay, because here we are saying 0 to 4 will become 5. Okay, so the loop will run only till I value is less than 5. Okay, so when the I value will become 5, so here the condition will become false. I less than 5, the condition is false, so the loop will stop there. Okay, okay. So let us automate this and I will show you this. Okay, okay. So to show you this, I will use this Selenium practice web page and swag lab. So here I'll use for loop to check all the checkboxes, and I'll use here, I'll use for this drop down, so where it go through all these items and check the Haryana or any other state. And here in Swag Labs, here I will collect all the item names using for loop, and I will just validate whether this Sauce Labs bike light is present in that list. Okay. Okay, let us see this. I've already created a spec file called for loop, and here I've already created three test blocks for checkbox, dropdown, and product names. Okay. Okay. So first let us see checkbox. Okay. Let me copy this URL. Await page dot go to URL. Okay. Okay. So now let us inspect checkbox. Let me inspect once again. Okay, it has type is equal to checkbox with input tag. Okay, here type is equal to checkbox, and for music also type is equal to checkbox, and it has three matching elements as you can see. I'll copy it, and let us keep this all the checkboxes in some variable called checkboxes. Okay, so const checkboxes is equal to await await page dot dollar dollar. Okay, I'll use $2 symbols, and the locators, this is the locator. Okay. Okay, so here why I'm using double dollar is to find all the matching elements on the page which matches with this locator. Okay, so I'm using double dollar to find all the matching elements. Okay. Okay, so now, let us get, before that let us print the checkboxes. Okay, how many checkboxes are there? Console.log, we'll say total checkboxes found, checkboxes dot length, checkboxes dot length. So here we will get the count of checkboxes, length of checkboxes, so we can use for loop. Okay, so once we get the count, so we need this for the condition how many times we want to click, so we'll get that number from here. Okay, so let me save and execute. We will get the count of the checkboxes, how many checkboxes are there matching with this locator. Okay. Okay, so here our spec file is for loop. Okay. Okay, there are three checkboxes. Okay. Okay, so now let us put for loop. So for let I is equal to 0, because we want to start from the first checkbox. So I is equal to 0, then I less than checkboxes dot length. Checkboxes dot length means 3, then I plus plus. Always I want to, after checking the first checkbox, I want to go to check the second checkbox, so I'm increase the value of 1, then 2, 3, like that. Okay. Okay, so now I'm inside this for loop. Okay, so now I'm inside this for loop. So at this point, what I want to do, I want to click on the first checkbox, correct? So to do that, I'm storing that first checkbox value in some variable called checkbox. Okay, so here this checkboxes has all the checkbox. Now I want to check the first checkbox, so I'll create a variable called checkbox and I'll keep the first checkbox in some variable. Okay. Okay, so const checkbox is equal to await checkboxes. Okay, this checkboxes is this checkbox, and I want to check checkbox of I means first time. Here the checkbox value will become 0. Okay, and before clicking or before checking the checkbox, I want to check whether the checkbox is already checked or not. Okay. Okay, for that I'm using the condition is checked. Okay, I'll explain. So here I want to click on the first checkbox. Okay, I'm inside this loop. So first time I want to click on the first checkbox. So here the checkbox value will become 0. Means it is at the first checkbox. Here it is checking whether it is already checked or not. Okay, so it will check the checkbox if it is not already checked. So how to do that? We'll put the condition. If the checkbox is checked is checkbox. Okay, so here instead of checkbox I will say is checkbox, because here I'm checking whether the checkbox is checked or not. I'm checking the first checkbox. Okay, so is checkbox is not checked, then it will go inside this condition and click on the first checkbox. Await checkbox, await checkbox of I means first one dot check. Checkbox of I dot check means it checked the first checkbox. Okay, so after checking I'll give some wait. Okay, so await page dot wait for timeout. I'll give just 1 second. Okay. Okay, so here using this, I'm checking all the checkboxes. First time the value of I will become 0. 0 means it checks the first checkbox. Then I value will become 1. 1 means it checks the second checkbox. And 2, it checks the third checkbox. And when the I value will become 3, the condition is going to fail, because 3 is not equal to 3 is less than 3 means the condition is false, so it will come out of the loop. Okay. Okay, so now we have checked the checkboxes. Now let us validate whether the checkbox is checked or not. Okay. Okay, for that also let us use for loop. Okay, so we want to check all the checkboxes are checked or not. Okay, so I'll use the same for loop, or I'll copy this. Okay, I'll copy this and I'll remove this one. Okay. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'll put expect condition. Okay, so expect is checked, expect is checkbox or is checked to be true. Okay, to be true. Okay. Okay, so now after this let us put the condition console.log, sorry, just a statement, all the checkboxes are checked, checkboxes are checked. Okay. Okay, let us execute. In the first for loop we are checking all the checkboxes, and in the second for loop we are validating whether all the checkboxes are checked. Is checked is a method from Playwright to check whether the checkbox is checked or not. Okay, and to check the checkbox, here we are using the method dot check. Okay, it checks sports, reading, and music. And here we can see that all the checkboxes are checked. Okay. Okay. So now let us go to the second example. Okay. So I'll use the same application, this PHP, and we will use the drop down. Okay. Okay. Let us inspect drop down in the same application. Okay. It has ID. Okay. So we will take ID only. Okay. Okay. Await page dot locator. We'll take ash state. So I did not copy it. Copy. Okay. Okay. So let us keep this in some variable. Const state dropdown. Okay. We'll call it state dropdown. Okay. So we are keeping this state dropdown in the variable state dropdown. Okay. Okay. This state ID in this state dropdown. Okay, so here this will find the dropdown from this ID state. Okay, okay. So now in this ID we will find this options. Using this ID we will find this options. Okay, okay. So how to do that? State dropdown, state dropdown dot locator dot locator. So which locator we want? Option. So we'll use option. Okay. Okay. I'll check the spelling and we will keep this in some variable. Const options. Okay, so here what I'm doing is, first here I'm finding the drop down with this ID state. Okay, and once I find that ID, I'm going inside this drop down and I'm finding the options. I'm getting all the options using this state ID. Okay, so here we have this drop down also. This is city and this is state, and I want state drop down values. So I'm saying state, and in that state drop down I'm going inside the options. I'm fetching all the options. Okay. Okay, option O is small letter. Okay, so now let us get the count of it. Okay, so const count is equal to options dot count. So it is a method to get the count of it. Okay. Okay. So here we have used length, dot length, to get the length, means count how many times we want to repeat the loop. So here we are using count. Okay. Okay. Here we are using length because here dot dollar dollar returns array. Okay. So we are using dot length, but here we are using locator. Okay, for that we are using count. Okay. Okay, so let us print the count, then we will use the for loop. Console.log count. Save. I'll remove dot only. Let us execute. So here let us get the inner text of all the options and let us print those options. And also let us validate whether, okay, it's failed. Let us see why. Let us give a weight here. Let's see. Okay. And if you think you're learning something from this video, please do like and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so there are five options in the drop down. Okay, okay, so now let us use for loop. For let I is equal to 0, we want to start from the first options. So I'm starting from 0. I is equal to 0, I less than count, count is 5, and I plus plus. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to get the text of all the drop downs, correct? So we'll keep all the text in some variable called option text. Option text is equal to await, await options of options dot nth of I. Options dot nth of I. Nth of I means first one. Okay, so here I value is 0, so here also this 0 will come, so it will get the text of first one. So we want to get the inner text, so dot inner text. Okay, okay, so let us print that. Console dot log options. So we'll say what is in each option. So in the first one we will say we have option text, we have this option. Okay, okay, so let us execute this. So here we are working on locators, so I'm using nth of I. Here I just use checkbox of I because that is array. Okay, okay, so as we can see, okay, it choose this state also, this option also, it is fine. So option 1 is choose state, option 2 is NCR, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Rajasthan. 0 to 4, so it becomes 5. Okay, okay, so now let us do one validation, that whether Haryana is present in this or not. Okay, okay, so for that what we will do, let us keep Haryana in. So we want to validate whether the Haryana is present or not. Okay, so let us create a variable called is Haryana present or is Rajasthan present. Is Rajasthan present, and we will store initially false. Okay, so it is a boolean variable. I'm storing it as false because we don't know yet whether the Rajasthan is present or not, so I'm storing it as false. Okay, so now we will go inside this for loop and find that. Okay, so if option text is option text dot trim, we will use trim, is equal to Rajasthan or Haryana. We will take Rajasthan because we are finding Rajasthan. If it is equal to this Rajasthan, then I will set that value to true. So is Rajasthan, is Rajasthan will become true. Okay, so initially I don't know whether Rajasthan is present or not, so I set this boolean value to false. Now I came inside this for loop, I know that many options are there, and if this option is equal to Rajasthan, it means if Rajasthan is present, then I'm setting the value to true. Okay, okay, so now I want to check this. How to check or select? Await, await state drop down, state drop down called dot select option. This is how we select the options in drop down. Dot select option, I will say label. Okay, so label colon Rajasthan. If it is present, check that Rajasthan. Okay, and once you find that, break this. Do not run this if loop. Okay, if condition. Okay, okay. So after this, I want to validate whether the Haryana is present or not. So I expect is Rajasthan. Sorry, I'm confusing with the names. Is Rajasthan present to be true? Okay, let us execute this. Here after checking, okay, let us give some weight. Okay, wait, page dot wait for timeout. 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Now looks like it did not select. I'll just remove this space here. Now let us execute. And for this example, I'll make a separate video because I can only make video for 30 minutes. Okay. Okay, one test passed. Okay. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. If you think you learned something from this video, please do like and subscribe to my channel. Okay, I'll make separate video to show this sauce lab example. Okay.